Hi, everyone. Ernie Anastas here. I want to take a moment to talk to you about something truly special. Shriners Children's. For more than 100 years, they have helped over 1.5 million kids with complex medical issues receive the most amazing care anywhere. Now here's Keshi's journey with Shriners Children's.
Shriners Hospitals for Children gave me back my mobility in every way. I got here in a wheelchair, and 2 years into my treatment, I was ready to go back to school and finish high school.
For the first time, Keshi was able to look up. And we take these things for granted, but he gave her hope. He gave her life back.
Once they realized how much I love music, it became a part of my healing. It became a part of my therapy.
I'm calling on 77 WABC's audience to help provide hope and healing by donating to Shriners Children's. Call 1-800-276-8007. That's 1-800-276-8007. Or go online to loveshriners.org to give.
A common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Now we have Professor John Yoo. He is, of course, with the University of California, Berkeley. And Professor John Yoo, what do you make of all these discussions about preemptive pardons? Sort of do it ahead of time, that maybe the Biden team may be looking at sort of giving cover, if it will, for Fauci, Schiff, and some of these others. Your reaction to that?
First, it's great to be with you guys. You don't know how lucky you are to talk to me. We're in the middle of a tsunami here. There was an earthquake.
That's right. You're in the middle of it.
California kick.
Did you feel it?
Give us a report on the tsunami first.
Yeah, did you feel it? Did you feel the earthquake?
I think the waves were about 3 inches higher than normal.
Did you feel the quake at all? Did it? Because a number of people did.
Near the Oregon border, but it was like a lot of things in California. It was a lot of promises. I even came out I was on the Golden Gate Bridge when it was supposed to hit. I didn't see Godzilla. I didn't see any wall of water. It was a big dud.
Sorry. But I'm glad everybody's safe there. That's the good news. Yeah. What do you make of the preemptive pardons? Is that like a political tsunami?
That's a great way to put it. But it's like a tsunami of hypocrisy. How's that? Because here you got a party that said you can't give presidents immunity. People will be above the law. And yet President Biden is turning around and giving out broader immunities to his family members and potentially other family members, other members of his government, than anything the Supreme Court has been giving Donald Trump in this case they were all complaining about. So I find it hypocritical. Now, look, legally, the president has almost an unlimited pardon power. There's very few exceptions. For example, you can't pardon for state crimes. You can't pardon for impeachment decisions. But in general, if it's a federal crime, the president can pardon anyone for any reason. But the purpose of it is to show mercy. The purpose of it is to break up conspiracies against the government. It's not to benefit your family members. It's not to put your family above the public interest. I have to say I found President Biden's claims of alleged persecution not very believable. I don't think that you're going to see investigations of every single Biden administration official. I think those idle political rhetoric in the campaign, I don't think you're really going to see investigation. Maybe even someone like Dr. Fauci, maybe he lied to Congress. That could be the most of it. I don't think, even though I think he made a lot of bad decisions during the COVID lockdowns, it wasn't criminal. So there's no need to pardon him.
I think it goes beyond that. Either he believed the Chinese, or he lied about the Chinese, or something else. But obviously the Chinese knew what was going on because they stopped all air flights in China for 3 weeks before we stopped them in the United States. So, and they didn't tell us why they stopped them.
I agree. I was on a commission about COVID, and I think all the evidence shows that this was a leak from that Wuhan lab in China. The Chinese government tried to cover it up. They didn't want people to think they were responsible. I think you might even suspect them of been designing a biological weapon, and it just got loose, and they don't want to be responsible.
Anything is possible. But
with all these other pardons, I got to say, part of, and this goes to your point, part of the reason we have investigations on Capitol Hill or investigations by the Justice Department is because bad things happened, and we need to know why. Even if the charges are never brought, we need to know the truth. And so the problem, I think, with these prospective pardons is we'll never get, maybe in many of these cases, to the bottom of things unless we have the criminal justice process available.
No, we have to. I was on Fox Business this morning with Maria Bartiromo, and we have to straighten out the rule of law. The American people demand that we get down to the bottom of a lot of things that happened. And look, after they're found guilty or found innocent, if they're found guilty, then the president should have the ability to pardon them. But let's not pardon them on the presumption that they don't want to find them guilty. Let's get down to the truth.
Yeah. By the way, you were great on Fox Business, where you gave a great shout out, and you also talked about how Russia and Iran are rich under Biden. It goes to the rule of law, which is so crazy, John.
That's the rule of law. The last 2-3 years was. I'm sitting in front of 3 other lawyers: Judge Weinberg, Ed Cox, Governor Patterson. What say you guys?
I think, John, good to talk to you again. I think it's very
great to hear from you.
I think it's very interesting. They're now talking about Biden, to do the right thing, should offer Trump a pardon. Now, my position is it would be very foolish both politically and legally for Trump to do that, because then he has to have an admission, a confession, that in fact he's guilty of something. So if I'm Trump, I say thank you, but no thank you. Why do you think there's noise about that, John?
I think that's a great point. If you are innocent, if you really are telling the truth, you don't need a pardon. The pardon is only for the guilty. Right? You would only accept the pardon. And that's why Hunter Biden needed a pardon, because he was actually convicted by a jury of his peers and he pled guilty. But if you're Joe Biden and you're saying there's no influence peddling, there was never any corruption from foreign governments, then why do you need to issue pardons? Because some of the pardons I've heard about are going to go to his brother, other family members, and other associates. Also, if you believe your government has been operating, your administration has been operating with the highest ethical standards, then what do you need to pardon people for?
The reason they want to pardon people
is a mission of guilt.
John, the reason they want to pardon people is because they don't want them testifying. They don't want them brought before a grand jury, because they may find out other stuff that's worse.
But as John knows, and Andy McCarthy has also pointed out in discussions with us, the fact is that once they get this pardon, they have no Fifth Amendment protection. Isn't that correct, John?
Yeah, so this is the interesting thing. Then if they get these pardons, Congress might be able to get some more truth, get to the bottom of things. But I bet, say you're Hunter Biden. Congress calls you to testify and say, now that you've got a pardon, will you really tell us the story of why you're on the board of Burisma? Where did all the money come from? Not just that you didn't pay your taxes on $2 million. How did you get the $2 million in the first place? That's what should really trouble people. He'll still say, well, I could still be prosecuted by state DA. This is where the lawfare thing comes in. Look what Alvin Bragg did to Donald Trump. Right? Look what the DA in Fulton County in Atlanta, Georgia, did to Donald Trump.
But by the way, John, you
would stop any of those guys.
Did you see? This is interesting. Of all people, John Fetterman is being quoted now. He made a comment this morning on the media talking about how Trump's New York trial was politically motivated. And this is, again, a Democrat saying those kinds of charges never would have been brought unless one side realized they could weaponize it. Spoken from a Democrat, Ed Cox. Isn't that wild?
Where was he 9 months? Where was he 9 months ago? Though?
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't say that during the trial. He only said that after the election.
Absolutely.
Well, John Yoo, thank you so much. Anything else you want to tell the American people? There could be millions of people listening right now.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Look, I think that this lawfare campaign was a serious blow to the rule of law. And the hard thing is, how do we repair it? How do we stop using prosecutions for political purposes to try to affect elections? That's going to require a lot of magnanimity on President Trump's part. He's going to have to say, I'm not going to go after my enemies. I'm not going to go after the people who did this to me. But his quandary is going to be, how do I know they won't do it to me again after I leave office, or to my family, or to all the members of my cabinet? That's a really tough problem that he has to solve for all of us.
We need honest U.S. attorneys, and we need honest prosecutors, and
Not as the Attorney General of the United States is what you need.
Yeah, people who are laws should be colorblind and politically
And
blind.
what I was most shocked by in the last few years, the only people that stood up were people like yourself and people like Alan Dershowitz, and not very many else spoke up.
Well, it didn't make me popular in the city of Berkeley. It doomed my campaign for mayor.
Well, you
Governor
should run
Patterson
again.
wants to say something?
You should run. Yeah, Governor Patterson.
Well, I just think that if President Trump does demonstrate the magnanimity that he would need to, that it would be very hard to come after him when he left.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point. Let's see what happens.
Thank
happens.
you,
Professor,
John Pugh,
thank you.
Professor. And we'll catch up with you
guys.
again real often.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Don't call me during a tsunami next time.
Okay, no problem.
No earthquake.
Take advantage of the exclusive holiday offer at Panorama Optical. Enjoy 15% off prescription glasses. And with every $500 spent on glasses, receive a complimentary pair of frames. Absolutely free. Don't miss this limited time deal running until January 1st, 2025. For eyeglasses, contact lenses, and to put your life in focus. Visit 241 Broadway in Lynbrook, New York, or call Panorama Optical at 516-341-0297 to schedule your appointment today. 516-341-0297.